Okay then everybody, welcome to another Leicester Lives podcast in association with Igloo Staffing Solutions. Many thanks to our sponsor. As always, if you enjoy the podcast, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and do not forget to subscribe because it really does make a difference to the future of this podcast. Now, today it's another interesting Leicester life, and it's part one of an interesting Leicester life because it's somebody I was always going to get onto this podcast, but I've had text messages, I've had WhatsApp messages, I've had emails, and everybody's saying, you've got to get him down. So I've given him a bell, and he's down here today. John Regan, thanks very much for coming along and being a guest on the podcast.
How are you, Justin? You all right, mate?
I'm all good, John. I'm all good. You know how it works. We like to roll it all the way back to the start and talk about growing up in Leicester. So off you go.
I still believe it was a gift being born in Leicester. You know what I mean? I was born not long after the war, you know, in 1952. And when we were playing as kids, we were still on the bomb buildings and all that. And my mum and dad, they come from Ireland. And they actually met at my auntie's. She was Irish at the guest house on Melbourne Road, and obviously they went back and they got married in Ireland. And we lived on a place called Charnwood Street.
Right.
And a lot of the old people all know it, you know, the young ones won't know it so much. But we lived in a 2-bedroom flat, 6 of us, right on the corner of Edwin Street and Charnwood Street, and it was called Katie's Bargain Store below us. And if you look at the photos, sometimes you see them. You ever seen them long pictures of Charnwood Street, it's a famous street? But look for Katie's Bargain Store. We lived up there. And that's where me and my sister had a really, really bad accident, you know, really bad accident. Nearly lost us, a motorbike hit us. You know, I was 3. And, you know, that's my first memories, really, you know what I mean?
Would you describe your childhood as a good childhood, John? Good memories?
Well, we ain't got a lot. We ain't got a lot, like, you know, we were immigrants and that, you know what I mean? And where I were, and I was born on Bond Street, only a mile and a half from the ground. And I was born on Bond Street. And my dad was a miner. My mum worked in the shoe factories and all that. We never had a lot. We didn't have a lot. And but nobody had a lot. It doesn't matter if you're Irish, English, or anything. Nobody had a lot. They're all in the second-hand shops. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, and all that, you know.
What about schools? Which schools?
I went to, started at Green Lane School, and then I went to Corpus Christi. No, sorry. Sacred Heart. And I went to Sacred Heart. And I've got to tell you now, I can't remember a good day I ever had at school. I couldn't stand it. It was full of bullies, teachers, and the cane. I used to get the cane a lot at school.
And I think, you know, back when you're talking about, John, it didn't take an awful lot to get the cane, I would imagine.
No, of course it didn't. Bunch of old pervs, you know what I mean, as far as I'm concerned. First time I got it with a slipper. It was Mr. Wade. Bent me over the front table, his table at the school, and whacked me on the backside. And then when I moved up a year, you got the cane. I remember one incident. We're in church, a very religious place. One incident, we're in church, and there was this teacher there called Pop Riley. Horrible, horrible man, right? And he come up to me and he hit me in the back. We're in church, and he hit me in the back, and it really hurt. And he said, "Stop talking," right? And I said, "Sir, I ain't talking." Do you know what he done? Afterwards, he lined all the people up in the classroom. We were 10 at the time, 10 or 11. And he lined us all up in the classroom, and he got his cane out, and he went up. First one was a kid called Rich Gorman. I'll always remember it. He tapped him on the hand, and he went, was Regan talking in church?" And he went, "Yeah." Then he went up to the other one, Paddy Callan, and he went, "Was he talking?" And he went, "Yeah." And then he went up to a kid, my best mate, Mick Ricketts. And this taught me a lesson, this has. And he said and he died just a couple of years ago, Mick did, bless him. And he said to Mick Ricketts, "Was he talking?" And Mick said, "No." And he put his hands out, he said, put your hands out, and he caned him. And that cane hurt, you know, it hurt. And then obviously I got the cane. But the lesson I learned there was, I wonder what I'd have said if it was the other way round. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Just say, I wonder if, you know, I'd like to think I'd have said no. But you never know until you're faced with it, you know.
Yeah.
And there were bullies, there were teachers and the priests, you know, you'll die in hell if you miss this and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody who's watching the Leicester Lives podcast, and I'd like particularly to thank our main sponsor, Igloo Staffing Solutions, and our IT sponsor, White Ski Digital. If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to hit like, comment and subscribe. It really does make a difference to the future of this podcast. Now, let's crack on with the content. Certainly gives you a bit of a strange perspective on life at that age, doesn't it? You know, you're surrounded by people who think physical violence is a way to discipline. You're given all these sort of rather extreme religious messages, so...
Well, that's right. That's right, yeah. And it was... if I told my kids today about the cane, they wouldn't believe it. And when we moved to the big school, I mean, I was born with a sense of humour. Might not sound like it at the minute, but I was born with a sense of humour, and that's not always a good thing. Right, because it gets you in a lot of trouble. As I'll tell you, my sense of humour only last year got me nicked at Chowton, right, when I went down with Colville. But it gets you in trouble, and like a lot of kids and a lot of people, they're dialectic, and you know, I couldn't read properly, like the kids, loads of us. Like, I'm not claiming, you know, disability, right, like that. And I remember once I was reading a book in school, and I got the word mixed up, brother with bother, and I got the cane for that. Always getting the cane.
Yeah.
And there was in the school, when we got to the big school, there was the teacher there called Daly. And what he'd do, he'd get you by the thingies, pull you up like that, and when he got you there, he'd get the knuckle and smash you on the head. Right? He'd smash you on the head with it. You know, it was bullying. And one day, he sent me to the headmaster's office, Mr. Mulvey. And another lesson I learned here, I went, Mr. Mulvey, and I didn't go. I was sick of the cane. And I went down the toilets, and I come back, and I took my place. He said, "Have you been?" I went, "Yes, sir." And there was a girl there, bless her, called Genevieve Hicker. She was in my class. She was a lovely girl. She had them calipers on. I think she must have had polio or something in the day. And he said, "Genevieve, go and check that he's been." So I've gone. As she left the classroom, I've gone. And she come back, and he said, "Have you been in?" And the other lesson, she said, "Yes, he has." So, you know, yeah.
So it's a pretty tough school day experience, to be honest, John. And like you said, nobody had anything much anyway, you know, so a lot of poverty, a lot of toughness, a lot of physical...
Well, yeah, we never had no.
Yeah.
But the same as the Leicester people and the English people, nobody had out.
Yeah.
I used to go on a Wednesday, they had assembly at Corpus Christi, and you see everybody kneeling down, and you see all the holes in the shoes. And we were a lucky family. My mum worked at a shoe factory, and she got this glue called Solution, and we could cut the cornflake boxes out and stick it in. You know what I mean? And one day I'm walking down it's a wet day, and I'm walking down the aisle, the passageway in Corpus Christi, it was red tiles. And my feet are soaking, but all I've got is a little hole. But I won't tell you his name because he's still about the town. But I looked at him, and he was wearing shoes, but as he was walking, he was leaving bare footprints. He only had the uppers. You know, and that's it. And I remember on 2 occasions I got a public caning. Public caning is getting caned in front of the assembly. And they called me out, and I remember on the arse, you know what I mean? And it hurt, it hurt, right. And they come. And I felt, my brother weren't at the school then, but my two sisters were at the school. And I felt more sorry for them because they were upset seeing me getting battered by a load of teachers. And there was another teacher called Carey. I'm going to name them. Carey, I don't know if you noticed that they're all dingy names, but I remember in the maths, and they were doing this sum. And I don't know what got into me. I went like that because I'm no good. I went like that. And I worked it out. I got the answer. And he said the answer is, and I started something like 37. You know, he went, Potter, fucking caned again. And I were right. Yeah. I got caned again. Yeah, it was. I remember Mr. L, you know, I hated fucking ironwork and all that, you know, it is. And I have to say I hate this. And he got me and he punched me in the face, he was. You know, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. And there was another one. There was a teacher, the nastiest one I ever seen, and I believe he's still about today, being an old man now, right? But he was a footballer, and I think he had trials for Leicester City, but I can't remember his name. I remember, I won't mention his name, because he still wears. And he got the kid out of school and he smashed him straight across the face. And that's how it was. Yeah.
So pretty safe to say, John, I'm sure you weren't going to stay at school for any longer than you had to.
I hate it every day.
Yeah.
Every day I hate it. You know, and that's how it was. You know.
So what age were you when you left?
Oh, 15. And all I wanted to do was go on a building site and learn a trade. But my dad were a labourer on the building sites, and he said, there's no way you're doing that. You're going into the engineering. Well, I said, I've just been filled in by the bloke from the engineering class at school. I said, the last thing I want is to go in there. But he dragged me down to a place called Parker Plant. And I went there and I done my, you know, I went in there and I really hated it. I lasted 6 months there. 6 months I was done, and then I was out, you know. And I couldn't get an apprenticeship anywhere else or anything. So in them days, in the 60s, the early 60s, you could go up St Saviour's Road and you could get 6 jobs in the factories. And I'd do that. I remember Dairston's and all that, and, you know, all that.
Had you become aware of Leicester City at that time, John? You know, was that something from when you were young, or?
Oh, yeah.
And when was your first match?
My first match was 1960, Leicester City v Tottenham. My uncle Jim had come up from London. He's an Irish kid, like we all were. He'd come up from London, Irish bloke, and he said, he was a Tottenham fan. And he said, we'll take you down. And he actually, I went down with him. And as I went down, in them days, they had everybody were on bikes, and the entries were full of bikes. You paid twopence and your bike could be there. And we went down, and he said, come on, we'll go in. And we got a programme. And we went in the popular side, the old popular side. And there were no cop-out singings then, you know. The beer noise come from the popular side. And I went in, I walked up the stairs. And I got to the top of the stairs and I looked at the pitch. And I have to say, it took my breath away. And all the people and all the colour, it took me breath away. Right. And little did I know the impact that day would have on the rest of my life. Because it was unbelievable. And that was me then hooked. We drew 1-1. That was me then hooked on Leicester City. And
where was the pop side on the old Filbert Street ground?
It was Burnmore Street.
Yep.
It was Burnmore Street. You went up Burnmore Street, out the popular side.
Right.
What they call the popular side.
So what was then the East Stand in times to come then?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Yeah.
The East Stand, you know what I mean? But And as I grew older and knocking around the town and that, as you grew older, you got to know everybody and you all met like the football. And suddenly I'm knocking about with my lodge lads, New Parks, as Munsell, because we met on the terraces. And I have to say, the greatest people I've ever met in my life, and I have met great people, I met the best ones ever, were on the terraces at Leicester City. You know, your Aunt Reed, Ian Fields, you know, Phil Turner's, buckets and all that, and it was like that.
So that first match, when was your second match? Did you go straight after?
I can't remember I don't remember the people, but no, but I would, probably not because I was too young.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
But I remember going down to Tottenham away, and my mum said to me on the Saturday, "Where are you going, Johnny?" So I'm going uptown, man. But what we done, we lived near the station and we could climb over Swain Street Bridge. And we'd go down there. I went down there and we got the platform ticket, sneaked on, went down to London. And ended up found us way to Tottenham's ground. And, you know, there was a big turnout of Leicester fans down there, I remember that day. And we won 1-0. And as I was coming out, there was a lot of fighting and all that, you know, in the 60s, you know what I mean, and all that. We'll get on to that later, and all that. And the police come up to me, and I'd have been about 14, 15, something like that. And they didn't believe me when I told them, yeah, because I'm one of them that looked a bit young, you see. And what they done, they took me to the station, and they told me they've rang the Leicester police up, and they're waiting for me at the other end. They wouldn't do it now, obviously, you know. But yeah, and I got on the train and I managed to jump off the train on the station and I climbed over. I remember going home and my mum went, "What was it like uptown, Johnny? I've been in a riot."
So how many away games were you going? Were you just going to the occasional one, or did the bug get you straight away and you were more or less...
done.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
I remember an incident when we played Wolves away. My memory's got the best of me, but it was in the 60s. We jumped the trains, and it was a night game. And we got the train to Wolverhampton and all that. And what you used to do when you used to bump the trains, what you'd do, you'd get you jump on the coach, sneak on a coach on the way back, or hopefully get a car. And I don't know if I'm right in naming this, but me and my best mate, we went down there, and it was a kid called Tim Brosnan, and a lad from South called, I won't mention his name, but we went there, and after the game I got on a bus, and them two got on, they got a car from two lads from New Park. They were a minute, and they drove home, right, at an unmarked crossroads, killed all four of them. Yeah, they buried Timmy on his 15th birthday.
Blimey, yeah.
Right, and the following Saturday, we were asking for a minute's silence, knocking on the door. Come on, yeah, we'll give him a minute. They never gave him a minute's silence.
Yeah.
We buried him on the Wednesday, right? And we were all like, you know, this, that and the other. And we ended up in, the same day, we ended up in Carlisle for a game. So, you know, that's what it was.
Yeah. And you said about the trouble at that time, John. A lot of trouble in the 60s, going into the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was never much of a fighter. I wasn't much of an hooligan. Right. I was always there with the lads, like, you know what I mean? But, and I tried my hand once, you know. I remember you used to go in the town and you see somebody shouting at somebody, you bastard, get outside, I'm having you. And I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. and all that. So, and I've seen it a few times, and the bloke would always, no, I'm all right, mate. So I've seen it, and I thought, I might be able to get a reputation here without having a fight. And it happened in the Three Cranes. So I've gone in the Three Cranes this night, and I've gone there, and there's a bloke looking at me, you know, and who are you looking at? I said, I beg your pardon. I said, you've fucking heard what you're looking at. I said, outside. I've turned to walk out. And as I'm walking, I could see out the corner of my eye, we're coming out. You know, this ain't going to the script. This ain't going to the script. And I walked by a kid called Mel Ewish, and he said to me, good luck, Johnny. He's very fast. I thought, it's fucking got to be to catch me. And I got to the door of the Three Cranes. You know, we need that bit of luck. There were a bus right outside, and it one of them with the poles on, and it was the number 33, and it was going New Parks. My bus, going East Park Road, my bus. And I didn't look round. I just walked straight on up the stairs, and I was gone. That was the last of me. Didn't go in town for another 6 months.
So what are you doing for work at this time anyway, John? Because you said you were bitting and bobbing in the factories.
When?
Just, you were doing the bits and bobs in the factories or whatever, so...
Yeah, but let me tell you about When You're Smiling. It was this time when the song, When You're Smiling, you know the song, don't you? It come out. When You're Smiling, it come out. And what it was in the Three Cranes. And I've wrote the history of this a few times, and the Leicester Mercury had done 2 pages on me. 2 pages on When You're Smiling. And it used to be on a Friday night mainly. There were no jukeboxes, there were notes in the early 60s. And all the oldies used to sing all the songs. Michael rowed the boat ashore and all that. And one of the songs they used to sing was When You're Smiling. And an old lady from Northfields always used to sing it. And we'd all sing with her, you know what I mean, this, that, and the other. On the Saturday, the coaches would be going to the away games, and we'd sing the song. We'd sing it, and all the movement, and all that, you know what I mean? And that is where it come from. And we brought it into the cup. And the only person I've ever known to sing it exactly how it was Colville Daz. And while I'm on the subject, Daz, if you're watching this and you Stoke confession, you can forget your ham cups. He'll know what I'm on about. and that's how it come about. Yeah. And we'd go and we'd be the young kids. We'd go to Sheffield, you know, with nights out. I remember the time they all painted the blue and white. Leicester fans went over. There was a bloke called Greg Chapman. You ever heard of him? Greg. He was a star. He was like General Custard. He had the long blonde hair, the coat on, and he'd go down Burnmore Street, wear a flag. But we all followed him. You know, we'd go everywhere with Greg. He was our leader, and he was the only leader we ever had. And he was our leader, and this, that, and the other. And... I could tell you stories about that, you know what I mean?
So how did you end up in the army anyway then, John? Because you're in Leicester, you go into the football, but you end up in the Parachute Regiment. Oh yeah,
it's a bit of a story to that. What it was, I couldn't hold a job down. I could not hold a job down because I wanted to be a bricklayer and I couldn't. So I just doing this at bricklayer. And I was buying a bit of stuff, even in them days, I was a young kid, and selling them. And my dad, he was a good man, my dad was. I won't have a word said against him. He was a good dad. But every morning, he would throw me out the house. He'd say, get up. But at night, I could come back. In the evening, I'd come back and I could sleep there. And there'd always be a row, you know what I mean? He'd be pulling me one way and my sisters would be pulling me the other. You know what I mean? I'd go down the station, right, and the cafe there, I know the girls in the cafe. All right, Johnny, you want a cup of tea? Yeah, go on then. And all that, and I could sleep on the bench. And then I'd go in the town up to whatever you get up to, and all that. Well, this particular day, I got fed up going and I walked by the recruiting office on Yeoman Street, and I went in. Now, I knew nothing at all about the army. So I've gone in, ain't I? And I said, I'd like to join the army. Oh, yeah, come in. And come in, yeah, what would you like to join? Well, I said, looking back now, I'd like to have joined the Leicestershire Regiment. A great regiment. Fucking top people. It's the Anglians now. Still a great regiment. Anyway, I went in and this, that and the other. And because there must have been low in figures, they stuck me in the Royal Army Ordnance Corps. And I didn't even know soldiers marched or anything. Anyway, come the day, off I went on the train and ended up in Pirbright. And got off and on, and I have to say it was full of bullies. I've come across the bullies again. I've only just turned 17, and I'm there, and they're off, and this, that, and the other. But I stuck with it, Delhi platoon, and I stuck with it, and I passed out as a trained soldier and a young kid, and this, that, and the other. And I was destined for going over to Germany and this, and anyway, I used to get knocked about a lot, you know, it's only 17, and, you know, the sergeants, they're fucking bullies, nasty bullies. Anyway, they knocked me about a bit, and anyway, I ended up with a perforated eardrum after 18 months, and I left. But later on, when I was in my 20s, right, I thought, I'll have a look at this again. And it's 4 battalions. There's 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 being the reserve battalion.
Of the Parachute?
Yeah. Parachute Regiment and all that. And I got involved with them. And I done P-Cup and everything, months of training and all that. And I got through on that. And... you know, there's a few stories there. Yeah,
I was going to say, you enjoyed it, I presume, more second time round than you did the first time,
Yeah, second time round, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was fit and all that. And I remember, out of the 72 that joined in my group, right? Right? I think there was 7 that actually got the wings. You know, it was a massive failure, but I joined them, and I went on to be a weapons instructor. I went on to be in recruiting and all that, and I turned into the beaster. Looking left, right, right, a sense of humour with left, right, and all that. And I had the chance to work with the Americans, and went over Fort Bragg, and I jumped in with them, and I got the American wings and all this. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was.
But I presume during this time, John, you're probably missing the football a bit, aren't you? Because that's taken you away from Leicester. It's taken you away from your beloved Leicester City.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. But when I joined the army in '69, I went in that recruiting office. And when I said to you, I want to join the army, I went in that recruiting office. And I said to the sergeant, the recruiting sergeant, I went, yeah, I want to join the army. Oh, yeah, have a look at this. Oh, you could join the ROC. I didn't even know what they're on about. I said, listen, I'll tell you now, before I put pen to paper, I like my Saturdays off because I follow Leicester City. And he went, okay, no, you ain't going to prison, kid. I said, you're only joining the army. You can get to your football. Lie. I went, that'll do. Well, anyway, a few months later, I found myself in Pirbright. And he went, you know, the first week, he went, everybody Saturday morning, get on parade this Saturday. You know, I went, excuse me, Sergeant, I won't be here. I'll always remember the game. It was Cardiff. We drew 2-2 away. Where you going? I said, I'm off to Cardiff. Well, you ain't going. That was the end of that. You know?
So, how long were you in the Paras for, and when did you leave?
About 6 years. I'd done 6 years with Fort Para, and I got it. It was great. Done plenty of jumps and all that. You know what I mean? Didn't see no action or anything like that. But yeah, you know, I done my bit. So I was there.
So you come back to Leicester. What are you going to do for work then?
Well, you know, I've got a very colourful work thing. I ended up a roofer. Okay, now, you know, Roofer, I'll be doing the old bitumen and all that. There was some characters in there. I remember once I got nicked. We were all scrapping on Humberston Gate, and they got me down, and this, that, and the other. And they said, "What's your occupation, roofer? Who do you work for?" I went, "Expert roofer." And they went, "How come everybody we get here works for Expert roofer?" But anyway, this, that, and the other. That was a big one. That was when I was 19 down here. Just down here. It was Jammy's 21st. It was a full riot. I started trying to get in the Pally. While I'm on it, the Pally tickets. You know, when I was a kid, I always bought and sold, I did. Always buying and selling, no matter what, at school or what. I used to go outside the Pally on a Sunday night when I was 15, and they used to give them free tickets for the next Sunday. And I'd say, "Do you want your tickets?" And believe it or not, they all gave me the tickets. So the next Sunday, I was out there selling them. I was selling the tickets. You want them at our price? I think it was 5 shillings. I was selling them for 1 or 6 or something, yeah. And I was doing all right. And Tony Pike turned up, tried to take my patch. All right, he's a great mate of mine, but he tried to take my patch, but, you know. And, what was the question?
About the riot at Humberston Gate.
Oh, yeah. That was a bad one, yeah. And that's... the girls in the thing, and there was a bit of prison put into that, but I actually hadn't done anything, and I really mean it. I hadn't done anything. I just kind of knew everybody involved, but I never got involved in it. And in the sweep, they took me in, and in the morning, they let me all ding in, they would, you know, I'll charge you, and I was the last one left. And this copper weren't even there. He went, "I'll do him." I've had to carry that all my life. That, you know, that sticks pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Just going back to your army days, John, obviously, you know, you saw a little bit of the world there, but you've always been a traveller anyway. Would you say you first got the travel bug from the army? Because that's, I'm assuming, going to be the first time you saw overseas when you were... No.
I had a bar in I went... No, after that. Yeah. No, I did. I went to go with them. I went Germany, Luxembourg, I went France, America, I went up to Canada with them and all that, you know what I mean? But I've always had the trouble bug, the travel bug.
The travel bug presumably came because you've seen a bit of the world and you want to see a little bit more of it. Yeah.
That's right. But I don't know, I think I'm missing something out there, yeah. Well, at the roofing, I ended up driving a taxi. I had a London cab, a big London cab I did. And, well, I lived in Groby. Groby was my place. And I had a nice big house, 4-bed house and all that, you know what I mean? And I got in trouble with the police. And I lost it all. And I always remember one day I lost it, and I come out of there, you know, the wife was gone and all that, and I come out of there and I wear buckets, my mate, buckets. And he said, "Where can I take you, John?" And I went, "Well, I've got nowhere to go, kid." He said, "It's all over." I said, "I've got nowhere." I had a bag, and he gave me a tenner, and I went down the local pub, and there was a lovely family over the road, and said you could sleep in the garage. So it was a nice garage, it was, you know what I mean? And I said, I've done that there.
And what led to you being in that position then, John? Just problems with the police and...
No, I was hardly ever in trouble with the police. But just a bad business venture.
Yeah.
You know, bad business venture and that, you know, and c'est la vie, as they say. But
so how's the football going at this time? Because presumably we're now into the 70s, aren't we?
That's when I wrote the fanzine.
Yep.
That is the time I wrote the fanzine. I wrote the history of When You're Smiling, and I liked it. I read it, and I sent it to the Fox. So then I started the fanzine. Right, me and my lad, he was only 14 at the time, Michael. I said, "Come on, let's write a zone." He said, "All right, Dad, let's do it." So anyway, I'm writing it and all this. And bear with me a minute. And I knew it was going to be a board-out fanzine. I knew it was going to be very, very controversial, right? So what I had to do, I had to get proper people. Look here, I had to get, where is it? There it is. People's names on there, because you know what I mean. So there it is. People's names on there because I know it caused riots. And I went out, seen Ant Reed. You got your Ant done it. Steve Franks, he jumped on it. Phil Turner, Roy Eaves, myself. And we put it out because I went out good. I needed a bit of fucking tough guys on there. But we done the fanzine, and it went on to win the Best Fanzine of the Year award.
Did it? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it won it 424, and also in thingy, and that's during the time of the fanzine, I sued the referee.
Now that was the Chelsea FA Cup game.
The Chelsea FA Cup quarter final. That Joe Hansen, the cheating bastard, right? That would have been our cup that year. Well, he dived, didn't he? Mike Reed was the referee, and he dived, and we lost. We lost by the penalty, and a few days later, I'm going through a pub, and this kid, and I'll tell you the kid's name, I can't quote him. I heard him say to somebody, he went, "If I had the money, I'd sue the referee." Well, I was writing the fanzine. I went, bingo. So I went down to Leicester Courts, and I went, "How are you, mate? All right. Can you sort it out?" "What?" I said, "I want to sue the referee." And he went, "You want to sue a referee?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "What one?" And I said, "The one from 4 nights ago that," listen, this is funny. I said that fucked the game up like for Leicester City. And everybody behind the glass desk, "Go on, mate." and off he went with it. He come back and he went, "You can't sue the referee." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I've took it to the judge. He said, you can't sue him. You got to say so his work and place." I said, "Well, where's that?" He went, "Lancaster Gate." I went,
"Yeah, Football Association.
Here's me tenner." And off it went. Oh my God, talk about a storm. I've done television interviews. The headlines of the Star was 6 soccer fans sues ref. And it just went, and I've done all the television stations and all that. I was on TV in America and all that. And Selena Scott come and interviewed me. Remember her?
Yeah.
I thought you would. Anyway, we went. There now, we're living with, what's his name? I was living on settees. I was homeless at the time, so, you know, the garage and that. Anyway, my lad would come down. "Fucking hell, Dad, you're in this, that." And the bloke from the Sun rang me up. He wanted an interview with me, and he said, "Everybody's after your number." And I'd done it, like. And we were suing him, and forgive me, I'm just, memory's gone a bit.
Well, didn't it end up in Parliament, John? Didn't it get discussed in Parliament? Yeah.
Okay, now, if you'd have read, I've got it here with me, the Daily Express, a couple of years ago, blamed me for the Iraq War. Right? It's true. They blamed me for I've got it all here, they blamed me for the Iraq War. And what it was, it's, it went on to, you know, this, it was just before Tony Blair got in, the warmonger got in. And what it was, they said, the MP for Blaby was a bloke called Rowbottom, Kim Warren name. And he stood up in Parliament at question time and he said, "This bloke is suing the referee. It must be some kind of joke." Well, the next day the press have come to me, ain't they? And they went, "You've been called a joke." I says, "Who am I?" Well, I weren't. I was being interviewed on Radio 4 when we're going over to Parliament. I heard it myself. He said, "Rowbottom, the MP." I said, the Labour bloke. He went, yeah. I said, does he know how many of his constituencies had to have 2 days or 3 days off work to get over the shock of that? And I said, all I'm doing is suing for 3 days' wages, 80 quid, right, and all that. And I said, I'm going to ask them all to vote Labour. And he said, this could have an outcome on the general election. I said, well, he started it, you know. and what the Labour got in, didn't they?
They did.
And, you know, and all that. And I run Radio Leicester and all that, Leicester Sound. I remember Peter Bean. He were interviewing me. He loved me at the time because I could fill his spaces there. Yeah. So what we done, we went round my mate's house. We mentioned his name. And I said, you got an England paper? And he had this England letter. So what we done, we blanked it. And what we done, we filled it in. You know, typed it in. And it was the time that Blackburn Rovers had that cam in the top, the top thingy, to try and get them like all this. They spent millions on him. We printed this out. And it says, yeah. You know, John Regan has won the case, this, that, the other, and I got it. And I rang Peter Bean up. I went, hey up, Peter. He said, all right, John, what you got for me? I said, we've only fucking won the case, ain't we? He said, I mean, if we'd have won the case, football were over. He says, you're joking? I went, yeah. I said, we've won it. He said, I've got the letter. He said, bring it down to me. And they're up on London Road at the time. So I went up there and gave him the letter. All day, John Regan has won the case against the FA. I'm in the pub with the Stamford Arms in Gruby. And he rang me up and he went, why me, John? I said, now, don't take it personal. I said, you were there, it's a fanzine. I said, you were in the way. And that's it. And so to tell that story about the presenter.
Yeah.
Oh, you bastard! Oh. Stop! I don't mention him. No, you can't do that. Can you cut that bit out?
Well, yeah, we'll think about that one, John. Yeah, but the presenter.
They're a presenter, and I'll get shot for this. Anyway, there was this presenter, and local lad, and somebody come up to me and they went. We're doing a competition on the radio, and we're asking people to ring in this, that, and the other. And what it was is, he was saying, we're interviewing Martin George, the chairman of Leicester City next week. Do not miss it. Well, the week before, I'd interviewed Martin George, and I tell you how it come about. He was the chairman of Leicester, and he hated us. I don't blame him for hating us. He owned Weetabix, so I wouldn't. So anyway, I'm standing on the street corner, selling me fanzine, you know, like this. Where's the camera there? Hey, where's the money gone? Get you, there he is. Look, there he is, police warning. He will sell again until he is stopped. Serial seller. So I'm on there, and he's walked by me with his contrast behind him. And he turned to me and he went, you want to start printing the truth? I said, well, you want to start speaking to us? And he come up to me and he went, I'll speak to you, make an appointment with my secretary. I said, I will. And as he walked away, I shouted, you'll need a tin hat. And well, he's come running back. You know what I mean? He come right in my face. And I'm going, oh yeah, I didn't expect this. You know? Anyway, I went, why do I need a tin hat? I said, well, this, that, the other. He said, make your appointment. He went, well, I made the appointment. And there he was. And he come down and he said, I'll see you. But he didn't just want to see, he only wanted to see me on the own. But I got a bloke with me called Steve Wells. He wrote the Frank Worthington book. And he worked for the Daily Express and all that. And he said, what you going to do, Johnny, is, well, why are you up? Because I know I come over highly intelligent, but I fucking ain't. And, you know, and all that. And so, right, so I've gone up, wired him up, and he said, I only want to speak to you. I said, well, I ain't clever enough. And anyway, we all went up there. And he's coming, and Steve Wells has said to me, he said, listen, you know we interview people? He said, don't start hard with him. He says, start off with, what's it like being the chairman of a Premier League club? And then you slowly build up. Well, I've gone in there, there's three of us, there's me, Steve Wells and Buckets. And across the table's Martin Jones, the chairman. Mm. And at the time, he'd lent the money club. And we wanted to know how much interest we were making on it, you know what I mean? Which is more than the banks would. Anyway, he said to me, ask me anything and I'll tell you. And I said to him, it don't matter what we say, you ain't going to tell us the truth. Well, he's jumped up. Right, yeah, if I can tell the truth, what are you doing there? Well, I've jumped up and we started trading punches with the chairman over the desk. You know what I mean? Hey, you can and all that. And Steve Wells and that got in touch. Said, sit down, calm down like that.
He's a big fella as well, Martin.
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah. Oh, he'd done me. And all them Weetabix. Anyway, all that. And he sat us down and I said to him, what's it like being chairman of a Premier League club? And he went, not very nice at the minute. But what he had in front of him was a great big bowl of Fox's Glacier Mints. Oh, and I started eating them while the others were asking the questions. I started eating the Fox's Glacier Mints, right, and all that. And when the interview was finished, we all went down the pub, you know, let's have a look, let's see, right, let's get the... Let's get the interview out, you know, on the thing. Let's get the interview out. And all you could hear was me munching the sweets. But we put it out there and we did find a picture of him with the tin hat.
Yeah, yeah.
We found it, yeah.
Did you ever become friends or...?
Oh, no.
No.
And that what's his name? What was his name? Him with the dandruff. Paul Mace.
Yeah.
He said we were selling the fanzine outside, and he went up to.
See the public relations bloke or something.
Yeah. But we made us, you know, we featured him in the fanzine and his dandruff. You know what I mean? And he didn't like it, and all that. And he went up to a well-known heavy man in Leicester at the game, and he asked him. He said, "Is there any chance of getting them off the street?" And he went, "Well, we know him. Yeah, we know everybody."
So going back to the presenter, whose name we shall not mention.
He'll hear this.
What story have you got about him then? Because I believe it involves a ladies' magazine.
Well. It was like this. Leicester, they were saying, oh, we're going to interview Martin George, we're going to interview that. They're holding a competition and they were asking a question and that you could win, I don't know, a ticket for the game and all that. And I'm having this printed at the time, the fanzine, and we're sitting there, we're listening to it. So I thought, I'll ring him up. So I rang him up. And he went, and the woman answered, oh, is it? I said, oh, yeah, it's John from Leicester. She went, okay, John, what do you want? I said, well, you know, I want to have a go in the old competition. She went, all right, wait, and then it comes through. And the presenter come on and he went, hey, how are you doing? I said, how are you? He said, yeah, good. He goes, what, you know, this, that. And I went, listen, you're on about Martin George. I said, we interviewed him last week. No, you can't have done with your magazine. Don't say anything on here that's liable. You can't have done with your magazine. I said, we done it. I said, it's on the streets next week. Right, no. I said, it is, and all that. And he said, oh, well, we'll see. He didn't believe it. And he went, and just before he put the phone down, I said, oh, by the way, he said, what's that? I said, the answer to your competition's Tommy English. You know what I mean? But...
What happened to the fanzine in the end, John? Because
it was never going to go on forever. We knew what we had to do. We put, I think it was 21 out, right? We knew what we had to do, and we were on at the time about 12, 13,000, 15,000 gate, and we'd sell 2,000 to 3,000 of it. Well, 3,000 of these. Fanzine. We knew it was never going to last. You know, we weren't going to become like millionaires at it. We just done it, and it just went. We'd accomplished it, And a lot of people have said we were the start of it. We got rid of this crowd here that were coming into our club all the while because they had a few quid and all that, and trying to get a few quid out. And we were the start of it. And we used to collect the money in. They used to come up. The Angel was a great pub. We ran it from the Angel. You know what I mean? All the lads would be in there, and they'd all come in with the cash in up around there, and I'd have it like in a bag. And I remember one night I've gone like going round the town and, you know, having a few drinks, and I got my odor with me, but it's over £2,000 in it, mostly in pound coins. And Aunt Reed's there. Okay, now, Johnny. And I think Phil Turner and that was there. He said, what are you doing? You can't carry the bag around. I said, fucking hell's going to turn this over with you, pair here? You know, and all that. And we went in the Saracen's Head. I said, yeah, so what I done, I got the... I got the old door and I put my leg through the loop and I stood it down and had a few drinks at the bar. When I went to pick it up, all that were left were the loops. They'd cut the bag off and fucked off with £2,000. You know what they're like, you know.
Do you look back with fondness at that fanzine? Because it was a great fanzine. It wasn't a great time on the pitch, but, you know, off the pitch it was pretty lively, and I think that summed up football at that particular time. Yeah,
I do look back on it, and for the young ones now, they don't know it, but at the time there was no YouTube and none of that going on. This is how you got your information, and you know, we had some great times with it.
Yeah, there's not many fanzines out there now, is there? You know, even
I don't think there is one, is there?
I think there's a couple up at Old Trafford, and that's about it, really. You know, but even they used to have 6 or 7. I think they're down to just a couple now.
But we won the best fanzine. We won that, and also the Sunderland paper done it, and we won the one in the Sunderland paper.
Yeah,
we had advertisers with us and all that. You know what I mean? And quality were there, only a quid. I mean, we weren't making a lot, but we used to go in the pub afterwards, the Angel, and buy everybody drinks with it. You know what I mean? It was one of them jobs.
So what would you say, I mean, that was the 90s. What was probably your fondest times apart from the fanzine following Leicester at that particular point?
The 60s. The 60s, the late 50s, 60s. You know what I mean? Used to go on them football specials and... yeah, and you'd get off at the station, Sheffield or London, there'd be loads of you, and you'd off you go, you'd always... None of that hanging around the station, you know, waiting for an escort. None of that going on. We had his donkey jackets, pit boots, and a blue and white scarf round you, know, and off you went. None of that police escorts, they knew you were, you know, you had the blue and white scarf, you know, this, that and the other. And by the time the new crowd arrived, the war were over. We'd been in North Bank Highbury, we'd been in the Leicester End. I remember Leicester End at Newcastle, Trent End. We'd been in the Kippax. I went in the Kippax with Greg Chapman and all that. 2 busloads of us. It was a nightmare, but we went in. And all that, you know, and it were over. The war were over by the time that lot arrived. It was a bit of a mopping up operation for them. You know.
Any times when it came particularly on top during the 60s? Because,
yeah, loads.
Yeah. Which ones do you remember?
Well, I was never an hooligan, to be honest with you. I weren't very good at it. I weren't very good at it. And did I tell you the story about 3 cranes when I offered the bloke out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've told you that one. Yeah, but that tells you I weren't very good at it. You know what I mean? But there's some good lads there, I tell you, you know what I mean? I didn't run, I just stood there looking gormless. And yeah, we went in the Kippax one day. And a couple of... Tim Brosnan were alive at the time, he hadn't been killed in the accident then. Should have been 14 or 15, we'd gone up on the coaches from the 3 cranes. And we got in the Kippax. That's the, do you remember the Kippax?
Yeah, the old main road.
Man City, the main road end, and it was on the side. Fucking hell. Greg Chapman were there, General Custer. And we're there, and all of a sudden they've all walked at us. They all walked at us at Man City. And Greg went, forward. And off we followed him. And they ran. The whole of the end turned and ran. And then they realised they were the roof full gang of kids. And they soon had us out of there, I tell you.
So how did you end up running the bar in Spain then, John? When did that happen and how did that come about?
I went over, Ant Reed, right, he was working over there. He was working for the Evans, you know, Ant. And he got in touch with me, he said he'd coming over. I went, yeah, I'll come over to you. I thought, oh, very nice. It was November. And I went over and I don't know whether, I hope I could tell you this story anyway. And I went over and we went out first night, a bloke called Steve Boy at a karaoke bar, nobody in there, you know, November and all that. And Ant's got up and he's singing baggy trousers and all that. And they were an old couple, well, I say an old couple, they were in the 45, 50s or something. And the woman kept trying to grab the mic and he wouldn't let her have it. And in the end, he went, yeah, I'll have it. And he got it, and we sat there having a drink, and I've looked at the bloke, and he's got up, and he's gone to the phone, before mobiles this way, he's gone to the phone, and I've looked at him, and I've gone, yeah, I said, Ant, he ain't ringing for a taxi, mate, I've seen him go like this, that's you, and that's me. And he went, fuck on. All right. And within fucking minutes, cars were pulling up outside. And there was a bloke who was at the bar, he went, this is the Barbaya drug gang. And I've gone, well, Ant's working for the Evans and they're all connected. And I've gone, oh, shit. And they walked in, I always remember it, they walked up, they went, get them outside, we'll do them outside. Well, I grabbed a pole, I have, like, and Ant went, do it, okay, outside. And I said, I like a monkey on a stick, you know. And I said, get him out. Anyway, get him outside, do him outside and all that. And I always remember he had a white shirt on, he was drinking a bottle of Beck's, and he dropped his Beck's like that, and they come up, and he stood there like in front of him. There were Moroccans, there were Geordies, there were Glaswegians, there were all this, and he held the bottle like that. And I've gone, I don't remember, I said, fuck it, I'll do my best, but I don't think I'll be a lot good here, mate. But anyway, he just went, just stay as you are. And they're going like that, and I'm going the first one, and they're all like that. And then one of them recognised him, and he said he works for Dennis, who runs all the security. He's one of Dennis's men. And I don't no, back. And the cars were still pulling up. Fuck knows what the phone call was, you know what I mean? Anyway, they were all pulling up. And terrifying. I have to say, it was terrifying. They're all pulling up. And I just stood there. It was about the first one. And it calmed down, this bloke come, you know what I mean, who was like, he works at thingy and all that. And they're all calming down then. And one of them put his hand out to shake hands. And I just got the bottle and fucking whacked him with the bottle. And he said, fucking hell, I'm going, oh, you bastard. Oh, you bastard. Fucking then they started wanting to shake my arm. Why they wanted to shake my arm? Oh, yeah, the bloke at the bar went. The bloke who at the bar, he went, it's the drugs gang, he said, because they come in with bats and everything. He said, they've got guns. And this is how far down the road I was. I thought, up for that. Yeah, I don't want to get bad. But anyway, he hit him with a bottle. I thought, oh, no, not now, please. And he just stood there like this, that, and the other. Anyway, they started drifting out. I'm in total bits. They're drifting out. And after they were gone, Ant just got up, went on the stage, baggy trousers, I'm in bits. And that was the time I had the bar, the bloke, I was living with Ant in Spain, and the bloke said to me, do you want a job behind the bar? And it was like a poolside bar, lovely bar. I went, go on then. He said, I can't pay you. I said, well, that's a fucking good start, isn't it? He said, well, you can have as much booze as you like. And I said, I've got a beautiful flat away, you can have that. I said, I'll do. So anyway, working away there, and then he gave me it. And, you know, 4 o'clock every day, all the lads would come and have all the cold beers and all that, you know what I mean? One particular time, you know, when they change over the holidays, right, I looked up, and there's just, you're not allowed to say fat anymore.
You can on this podcast.
Yeah, I said, a great big fat bloke. And he sat on the balcony. You could see him having a drink and a wine, that's what they do. And they were having a drink of wine, and his daughter had come down, and the son would have a swim and a thing and all that. And then all of a sudden, he's come down one day, and he's sat with me. And I went, all right, bud, yeah. He said, I said, I've seen your hair, right? I said, I couldn't miss you. And he says, here's a story for you. And he says, yeah, talking to him. And he said, I'm a copper from Kent. I said, he said, I'm on the drug squad. I said, oh, fair play to you and all that. And he took one of these. I had the fanzines at the time, and he took them. And I went, all right, yeah, that's great. You know what I mean? I took it. A month later, I'm back in England. And I'm living in the garage I told you about. And I get a phone call. And hello, who's that? And he went, it's me, the fat bastard copper you met in Spain. I said, oh, I forgot that. Yeah. What's this about? And he went, we're coming through Leicester. He said, He said, I'd love to catch up with you. I don't met him fucking half an hour. I'd love to catch up with you and have a chat with you. I said, all right. He said, where are you? You know, where do you go? I said, well, I'll be in the Stamford Arms later. And all that. Anyway, I've gone in the Stamford Arms and he come in, a great big lad, and he ended up coming in with a little skinny fella. Well, how are you then? Yeah, all right, Johnny, I remember that. I remember it. Like we've been mates, haven't we? Yeah, fucking great. And all that. And then he said to me, I've got something to put to you. I knew what was coming when the little one went to me. He said, do you feel a bit awkward talking to two coppers at the box? I know everybody in the Stamford Arms. I said, well, no. I said, I ain't done no wrong. There's nobody else, you know. I said, you know, it's not. Anyway, the fat copper went, listen, we want to do a deal with you. I said, what deal? He said, we want you to go back to Spain, right? And he said, you know all them blokes that use you bar? They were the drug people. Well, I didn't know. I weren't interested in and all that. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to go in there and infiltrate. I said, you're having a laugh. I said, what are we going to do? Pay for the flight to Summit? He said, we'll give you £60,000 and we'll pay you, I forget the price, he said, we'll pay you so much a week. I said, you're having a laugh, ain't you? I've got no chance and I ain't getting involved in that shit.
Do right, yeah.
I ain't getting involved in that shit. And he was going, yeah, well, you know, I said, oh, I'm off. And I left and I went into my garage. And I'm there. And all of a sudden, the front door's coming to the house. Stuck my head out through the garage door, look. It was them pair come bursting through and he got hold of me. The fat one did. With my neck like that. And up against the sink. And he's going, you've let me down. Why have you let me down? I said, what's the matter going on here and all that? And the young and the small one were going, I told you it was a waste of time. I'm over the sink. The woman who owned the house, I heard her running down the stairs. And she's gone, oh my God, I'll call the police. I said, don't bother. I said, this is the police. Yeah. Okay, this is the police. You know, straight on the phone into Spain, like, you know.
Well, we had a chat before, John, and we said, look, we're not going to be able to wrap this up in an hour because there's an awful lot more to come, and we want to talk about you travelling the world and going through the sort of 90s and 2000s or whatever. So
Leicester City flags all over the world.
That's what we want to hear about. So we're going to get you back in a couple of weeks or so, John. So I think for today we're going to wrap it up, but this is very much part one. Maybe part 2 to come, maybe part 3 to come. We'll see how we get on. But for today, John, thanks ever so much for coming in.
Thanks, Justin.
Been an absolute pleasure. And we'll pick it up next time.